Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Baka. We are an anime podcast where every 2 weeks we come together and discuss a new anime and turn the conversation over to you, our listeners, our comment section. We discuss it like a book club format. That's what we're going for, but we don't like to read, so we only watch TV.
100.
And this week we are discussing Synduality Noir. And to do so, I need the help of my co-host with their hot takes. First off, we have the mystery to my Noir. It's Jeremy.
Hey, Elf on a Shelf is weird. Sorry, I don't have a hot take this week.
That is a Christmas hot take.
That is hot.
Spicy.
That's the closest thing I got.
All right. Then we have the poop to my joke. It's Jason.
We are so prepared. Just absolutely professional.
I wrote these down a week ago. What are you talking about?
I'm sure. Just like video games shouldn't be made into movies, I don't think video games should be made into anime either.
Okay.
There's always Advent Children.
All right. And my name is Troy. And my hot take is that Pokemon is better than Digimon. Suck it, nerds.
Fight me in the comments.
I don't even know if I actually believe that. I also didn't prepare a hot take.
And also, that's not that like
Relevant?
No, they
I
hate
can't
each
think of
other. I know that.
well, I know, but I think one community is much larger than the other.
Oh, well, that's true. Although I do have to say, in my research, when I was looking up all of the different Digimon and Pokemon games for emulation stuff, Digimon is considered to be much more interesting games. And even like the storytelling, apparently, in Digimon is better.
How dare you?
Yeah.
I don't agree. I stand by my hot take 100%.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
That
Fire.
That hot take that I just made up 5 seconds ago
I
randomly in
know,
my
right?
head.
Yeah.
I will
That you
die
wrote
on
down
this
a week
hill.
ago.
Uh-huh.
No, I actually did have a hot take. I just forgot it because of the Christmas business we were taking care of earlier.
Mm.
We need to talk about this anime, which is Synduality Noir.
You are.
Here we are.
Yep. Start us off that way.
Right.
This was chosen by Jeremy, so he's going to give us a non-spoiler review, then the rest of us will go as well. So non-spoiler review time. What did you think about Synduality Noir, Jeremy?
Well, I mean, it's a video game anime, so it met my expectations, perhaps is the best way to put it. It's nothing really special, nothing to write home about. Plot's not amazing. It certainly had a few things that intrigued me, and there's some things in it that I really, really liked, but not enough to make up for like just the average blandness that you get from most video game anime. So the mech designs are I both love them and hate them at the same time. There's an artist, his name's Luca Zampriolo. He also goes by Calamity. And he does some really, really cool mech sculpts. And they kind of reminded me of that and Gurren Lagann, even though like his sculpts are more mechanical and they're not like giant heads with arms and legs. So they look much better, but it has that same sort of like central body module and then arms that come off the sides. So, if no matter what I say, go check him out. He's really cool. But this anime, it's a thing. It happened.
Intriguing.
What did you think, Jason?
this was so aggressively mediocre. I was so it had. I think the world building was probably the best part. Like the mystery behind the mystery behind the collapse, I think, is the most intriguing part for me. I'm not saying it's great intrigue, but as far as like what was the most intriguing thing about it, the characters are just the majority of them are they all feel like background characters. It almost feels like there is not a main character. And the 3D animation is just again mediocre. It was not like the CGI was yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's about it. Like I can't wait to get to our spoiler section.
All right. I would not recommend this. I did think it wasn't a very good anime, but kind of like Jason said, it's so mid. But I also feel like that's all it wanted to be. It is a video game, and this is like a tie-in anime that's really just kind of an advertisement to drum up interest in the video game. Even though this seems like the sequel to the video game based on the trailer for the game, and the game actually looks fun. I'll say that I thought that looked interesting. But the anime just seemed not that interested in trying that hard or taking itself seriously. But I did feel it was upfront about that. It's like, hey, everything has a name. No one's a pilot. Everyone's a drifter. Things like that. And so I was like, okay, then if you're not going to try, I'm not going to put in a lot of effort here. So let's just get through these 12 episodes and we'll be fine. And the anime seemed okay with that. So I'm not upset about it not being very good. It was a fine way to spend an hour a day or so checking in on. I'll forget it in a week or two.
Yeah.
This is your favorite anime of all time. Sorry.
Whoops.
big Synduality fan base out there. Who knows? All right. What did you guys think about the opening and closing?
The opening was pretty good. I liked the song. The visuals were good. It told you exactly what the story was going to be about. The ending was okay. I think I watched it 1.5 times, and I was just
Yeah, the music didn't really get me. The intro just screamed Persona 5 to me constantly, like with the colored banners going across and the different texture, the almost comic booky appearance. So that was interesting. That was kind of cool. Since I don't really immerse myself in Persona 5 that much. It's very surface comparison, but I liked it nonetheless. Yeah, outro was just I don't know. It's boring. I was trying to figure out, like, as I watched, I was like, okay, so does the water mean something? Do the lights mean something? Is that what's going on here? Maybe it's like, the holograms. There's an episode where there's like holograms that turn into cash flow, and so I was like, maybe it's holographic water. I'm going too deep. Nope.
I didn't think it was bad for an outro. Like it was very similar to other anime we've watched, as far as like some sceneries with okay music behind it.
A random character spinning around in circles to slow music.
Yes, that's where I wound up. Like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm so bored with this.
Now, Eminence and Shadows OP.
I don't really.
The slow reveal of a scantily clad girl every episode.
Oh, that's right.
Do they still do that in season 2?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
they didn't run out. He's just got a bigger harem now.
Oh, well, it's enormous harem, now.
But yeah.
No, anyways, wrong anime, wrong show.
Movie announced. All right. I just don't really have anything to add about the OP and the they were fine. This was a Hulu anime to watch, so it wanted to skip the ending most times. A couple times, if I wasn't going to watch another episode, I would stop it so I could watch the whole ending, but I didn't watch it every time because of the auto skip to next episode. Yeah, they were fine. I wasn't bugged by them. I won't remember them in a week either.
Wait, did you say Eminence and Shadows getting a movie?
Yeah.
Gosh.
I will have to say, for the OP, I thought it was heartwarming, I guess is the best word. It, as far as an OP goes, like grabbing the camera and taking a selfie, I thought that was a nice touch. Like, I'm trying to find something else to say about this. Give me a break.
Well, plus it's Tokyo, and Tokyo's, he's cool. He's all right.
We're not there yet.
Well, I mean, no, the guy
2
taking
episodes
the
in a row. I gotta tell you
Stop
guys
it!
to shut up.
Stop it!
We can say his name. His name's not a spoiler.
Could be, A couple times they mentioned Tokyo. I'm like, oh, Tokyo survived.
Nope.
No. Okay.
Different Tokyo.
All right, we are going to go to spoiler section now, but before we do, announce for what's upcoming. We have reached the end of the year. We're recording this the day before Christmas Eve, so we're about to go on our Christmas break, which means we're all going to watch a movie, which is a lot easier and faster to do. We're going to watch Jujutsu Kaisen 0 because season 2 is about to end. 2 of us have already seen it. We'll watch it again, but
Yeah.
100%. Holy crap.
And
not to spoil my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Don't need to tune in, now.
I am interested to go back and see it again, knowing future events and kind of having new perspective on what's happening here. So, yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen 0, that's the movie for this year. And then after that, Jason and Jeremy will be picking their retro picks. And then after that, we've all consented to let the audience pick an anime. So what we need from you guys is let us know what you want us to watch. And then we'll have to do some kind of vote system. I don't know how we're going to do this. Probably on the website. Jeremy can set something up. But right now, we just need recommendations. And if we get a lot of recommendations, whichever ones get the most recommendations will be on the short list. If we only get a few, we'll just make that the whole list and you guys can vote. And if it comes down to a tiebreaker, we'll ask our children.
And,
there you go.
And no like time limit as far as like when it was created.
The only thing is we're only going to have one podcast episode to review it. So 12, 13 episodes max. So we can't watch all of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood for you. You got to pick something and say, I want you to watch these 12 or 13 episodes. Hopefully you can fit your whole anime in there in your recommendation. But if you just want us to catch the first season of something or even the first core of something, we can do that.
Yep.
But
it'll probably be a voting thing on Twitter if we do wind up voting. That's probably where we'll do it.
Can't do it on the website?
We could. I just wonder if a lot of people would be more apt to engage.
We could do both and
just
then
on Twitter.
We could do both and then add the votes together. We can figure this stuff out later. We got a month and a half.
Yeah, we got time.
So submit your recommendations on the X Twitters or on the website.
Or YouTube. Wherever you leave comments. We'll talk about comments at the end of the episode like we always do.
Yep.
All right. Spoiler warning has been dropped now for the anime Synduality Noir.
Yeah.
All right. So going forward, characters, plot reveal, all that stuff. I don't know. I don't think the game's out, so I have no idea if we're spoiling anything from the game, but whatever.
Well, Are you just going to say Noir differently every time you say it?
No, I art.
Well, the only thing we can really spoil for sure is that, the main character makes a cameo in the anime, which is really cool. I like that. That's one of the
we need to talk about that when we get there. We need to talk about that. That's odd to me
cool.
how much you like that.
I like it.
All right. This world is a post-apocalyptic world. From my understanding, humans were driven underground by these monsters called Enders, have now come up and established towns called nests, which are defended by mecha called coffins, driven by pilots called drifters. If you need a flag telling you this is a video game anime, I was like, what? That is a lot of names for a lot of random things. And they say those names every chance they get. Coffin, different drifters, nest.
Part of the IP,
there's spacemen here.
Spacemen, tripods.
Yeah, every enemy has its own unique name. Yep.
I like how you almost said mob, because basically that's what they are.
Yep.
So that's the world, and we start with some two guys that are scavenging in some old ruins. And the one, our main character, who is not a drifter at this point, he has dreams of becoming one. His name is Kanata. Your guys' thoughts on our main character, Kanata, who will become the drifter extraordinaire of the future.
I've never hated a protagonist more.
Yes, you
I
have.
doubt that.
I
Okay,
guarantee.
you know what? You're right. You're 100% right. This is not okay. To be clear, this anime is not on the hate list. But wow, did I dislike this protagonist? He's so whiny. He takes the unconfident trope to 11. He's continually, it's nauseating to watch. Not only as dense as he is, but also just how whiny baby he is. I didn't like him.
To sum it all up. So all of those things I would have been okay with if he was like 15 or 14 or something, which is commonly the case with anime protagonists, or even 17, right? But they go out of their way at a certain point to have him be like, I'm 19 now, I'm a man.
I
I'm a
did
good
appreciate.
pilot.
I did appreciate an older protagonist, by the way. I'm just saying.
I agree with that, but I would have liked it if he behaved like an older protagonist, right? Like have a little bit more experience under his belt as far as like confidence and social skills. But he behaved more like I would have expected out of a 15 to 17-year-old protagonist. You know, the more traditional tropey, oh no, this girl looks at me and she's now my cheeks are flushed and her cheeks are flushed, and she's an android, but her cheeks are still flushed, and they don't really know. God, don't even get me started on the androids. For him, that was the major issue I had with him, was he didn't behave as mature as I thought he would be given the context of the environment. And what we were supposed to believe going into this was kind of like a PTSD post-war zone time period, where like every day you're going out there to harvest or to work on these machines, and people don't come back from this, right? They go out there to harvest these crystals and they die. The enders kill them. The toxic rain kills them. No, he's kind of he's too positive, too relaxed, too carefree compared to, I don't know, what I thought.
To be clear, I've liked characters in the past that were not self-confident to begin with, and then they develop a confidence to them. The problem is that this lack of self-confidence lasted until like episode 10 out of 12. And it was just so drawn out. Anyways.
Because it's kind of a defining characteristic of him. I mean, he does start to like bark his way up his arc. Weird way to put it, but he does kind of start to demand that people acknowledge his skill and that he's better. So he's projecting his confidence out forcefully, but at the same time, that's kind of an indicator that it's not real. Like you're still just trying to create it. So he's definitely not reached the end of his arc, if it is an arc.
On the flip side, I enjoyed about him that he didn't go the Gundam route. Like I found, because he finds the robot that helps him, and she's special, and he didn't suddenly become the best pilot and the only one who can save us. He just became competent enough to stand with his peers instead of becoming. Like he wasn't the superstar all of a sudden. He was like, I found Gundam, so I have to do this all now. He was just like, hey, I'm now barely able to keep up with everyone else. I found that refreshing, but the rest of him as a character was just bland. His weirdness about women, like how shy he was, but also forward moving at the same time. Like, oh, I have to undress this robot for diagnostics. Oh no, but I'm so shy. She made a boing boing joke, and okay.
Yes.
I'll get to that. We'll get to the boing boing joke. So yeah, some refreshingness about him, but mostly as a character, he's just bland. He is helped out by his best friend / older brother type, Tokyo, who we have all voted as the greatest character to ever surface in anime.
This anime, at least.
What do you guys think about Tokyo?
Jeremy, go first.
Okay. I loved this character. The first time that I watched the OP and I saw him being in the center and the forefront with it, I wondered, why is this character taking the role of the protagonist, right? Like, he's not the protagonist. This other more mild-mannered, quiet guy is. Why is Tokyo right there in the front? And I think I know why. It's because he's more likable. He's funnier. He should be the protagonist. He would make a more interesting character. But at the same time, he kind of goes overboard. And so it's almost like they're having too much fun with him. And I don't know if he would actually be able to hold down. Like, to make him the protagonist, you would have to add a lot more weight and a lot more psychological and emotional issues for him to contend with, right? Like, he'd have to solve some of the problems that make him an interesting side character. So I really like him where he's at, just being this sort of role model brother figure with a bit more depth to him, where he's crazy on the surface. He is always joking. He's always getting drunk. And it should be mentioned that, like, this is a world where they literally can just like slap themselves with a bandage and say, metabolize the alcohol. And then a moment later, it's just gone out of their system.
Forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not a serious thing for them to get drunk. It's
That's
just
a
like,
consumable you can buy.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so so he's very lighthearted. He's extremely skilled, very capable, but he's got a heart of gold, but he wants you to think he doesn't. There's a lot of scenes where you start to think that, maybe this is where, the scummy side of him is going to come out. And then he just turns back into a big silly kid. And yeah, so I really like him as a character. I thought he was entertaining. He stole every scene that he acted funny in. Like, there were some where he had a bit of brevity, not brevity, but he had a bit of he had a bit more weight to his role in a few scenes. And so he didn't really steal those, but he contributed. But when he was trying to be funny, they wrote him well to be a funny character.
I liked Tokyo as well. Reflecting a lot of what you said, the heart of gold part was probably my favorite thing about him, because he does have this bravado that he's putting on. Also, he loves to poke the bear, so to speak. So, like, he's always trying to get a rise out of his rival, if you will. This other character we'll talk about later, Michael. But also, like, even the mechanic or Kanata. He's got just this like fun atmosphere, but then like when he needs to get serious, he gets serious real fast, and he's always looking out for others. So yeah, I like this character a lot.
I agree with all of that. There's not really much to add. No, he's a delight. He probably should be the main character, like you pointed out, Jeremy. He's roguish, he's charming, he does everything you want him to do in the main story. The only thing I wanted to add was that his personal robot is an older man. Where this character, if you told me everything about this anime, I'd say, okay, so this guy's robot is gonna be this big boob bimbo who follows him around. That's exactly what his character type is. But instead, he has this like genteel butler type old man who takes care of him. And while there's not a lot, I don't feel like there's a lot of thought being put into the characterizations and details going into the story. That one feels really deliberate, of like what he appears and who he is deep down are very different, and you can tell that because of the robot companion that he has contracted with. So yeah, he's great. Also, at the end, it looked like they were starting to get into a little bit of his past and what they were going on. And we should mention, this definitely seems like a 2-core anime season, because episode 12 just ends in the middle of the story. But there's nothing additional on Hulu at the moment, so I don't know where the second core even is. Disney is crazy about locking stuff down sometimes, and when they release stuff, so maybe that's it. I don't know where the rest of the anime is, and I don't know if we're coming back to it. But for what we had, it started to really leave some cool breadcrumbs for his character at the end.
And to be clear, when we say robot companions, these are no different than the quote-unquote robots in Nier Automata. Like, they're near indistinguishable from humans, except for the little robotics they have on their neck.
Yeah, I want to talk about them when we get to Noir. So we need to talk about the robots too. Speaking of Noir, they find her. She's laying. They're like in this old museum, and they find her sleeping in a thing of flowers. And Kanada's like, "Oh, I found." They're called maggots, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're not maggots.
They could be
Maggots.
maggots. At one point, they reference magi, so whatever. Anyway, he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take this lady home." And then they're attacked by monsters, so we get to see our first view of the Ender monsters, and then we get to see Tokyo battle as they run away in their carrier. So these drifters go out in giant trucks that they carry their coffins, the mecha, on, and so they're driving away. Canada? I don't. Oh my God.
He's got a big maple leaf on his chest.
Jason messed up the pronunciation a moment ago, and it's been spinning in my head ever since. Kanata.
Think of katana,
Kanata.
but switch the N and the T.
Kanata. Got it.
There you go.
Perfect.
So they run away from these bad guys. They get away, but accidentally leak with their AO crystals. In the video game, that's what you're going to get and selling for your currency. So they have AO crystals and they leak it, which is that's gonna lead to something soon.
Got to get your microtransactions.
Yeah,
getting their microtransaction cash.
So this isn't a phone game. Like the trailers for a PlayStation 5 game, and it said it's PvPvE. Again, the game looks pretty cool.
Yeah, even like the movement of the mech reminds me of Armored Core a little bit.
Yeah,
it looks like a scuffed Armored Core.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for some reason I'm on episode 12 of my notes. What episode are we on? 1? Yeah.
1.
Okay. Yeah, all of that was just from memory. Yeah.
Well done.
Say, that's not a lot of notes you took there, huh?
All right, they get back to their town again. These are called Nest, and they're just. Can we talk about the Nest? Can we just talk about the Nest? Because I hate the Nest. I hate them so much. They're so video gamey. The idea that there's a nest for your selling your crystals. There's a nest for buying things. There's a nest for sex. There's a nest for gambling, and there's a nest for when you need a water park.
And also a nest for where you're going to experiment on things where people don't want you to be experimenting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which in a video game is like, oh, so there's like a hub world, and I go to these different places to do different functions. In a real world situation in anime, it's so dumb. It's just so dumb.
And each one of them is, I guess they're covered because of the toxic rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the big issues I had about the nests was when they went shopping. Like, I know all the other things you said, that's valid too, but this one really bugged me, which was when they went shopping, he and Noir, there were boxes with like brand names just stacked side by side on the shelf. And there were just shelf after shelf of different manufacturers. Like, there was such a selection and everything was so factory packaged. And I was like, so you have competitors, you have markets, you've got an economy, you've got
they have to synthesize their food.
Yes, exactly. Like, it did not make sense to me. And then I thought about like when I played Front Mission back in the day, like the first and second one through emulators and stuff. And there was that sense of like, it's so cool to go and pick your mech parts and everything. And yeah, sure, that's how they want to represent it in the show. But Front Mission at least had like a whole world and economy, right? It wasn't like everything has been devastated and all we have are these little survival nests with, like you said, each one's devoted to a certain thing. So like, are all of those goods being produced in the kind of illegal, extreme technological place, or are there like other nest factories? Were they the ones that got destroyed in the last few episodes, or are there other nests that are like farther away and different? It's like,
see
you just have video game logic and nothing else is what it seems like to me.
the water slide is way more egregious to me because there is nothing more first world than a water park. They went down slides with inner tubes, which means someone out there is manufacturing inner tubes for the use in a water park. And like you said, we don't have food.
Yes.
Food is a precious resource and hard to get by community, but we can produce plastic inner tubes for sliding down water slides.
They have calcium toners for 3D printing food. I loved that, by the way, because I've heard so much talk of like 3D printing food and how they would, a lot of times they do talk about that even now, where they're like, oh, we'll have different toners for different kinds of proteins and things like that to assemble your food. So to me, I thought that was really cool. But then they've got like
the printed food. I thought it was cool how they made it to look.
Yeah. And they're like, it always comes out. It's just like you're in Japan and it's like, your food's ready. Robotic voice. You got like all kinds of different things. But they've got actual real bananas like under glass in a museum. It's like, so why?
It's almost a billion zen or whatever.
It's like an incredible amount.
Currency is.
You should be able, if your technology is this advanced, you should also be able to grow, food in greenhouses pretty easily. I mean, they're even like creating holographic skies up there in their domes. Like, they got crazy
Where's
technology.
This power coming from? Yeah.
Right. That's another
Where's
good
the
question.
electricity coming from? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can run a water slide, you can irrigate farmland. There's just no.
And no which one's a little more important?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So there's a serious problem with the nest. It's very surface level video game logic. Pretend that there's something deeper, but I don't think there is.
Okay. While at their nest, Kanata is visited by his childhood friend, Ellie, who it's very clear she has a major crush on him. Probably the only human character who does in this little harem that starts to form. Your guys' thoughts on Ellie?
One minute she's a great drifter, and then the next she's flailing like a helpless girl. One minute she's this strong, confident woman, and then the next minute she hears a really easy to understand misunderstanding and runs off like a baby. I can't get what this anime wants me to think about this girl. I know that it's supposed to be her chasing Kanata, but like, I just didn't care about the relationship. There was nothing in the like. She seemed to only be there for comedic purposes, but the comedy was not good.
I think my favorite part that kind of sums up what you're describing was when she was going to teach him how to swim, and then she gets flustered, so she runs away from him. He touches her, and that causes her to become more flustered, so she falls in the water, gets a cramp, and drowns. Like, what? You were just going to teach him how to swim.
But she's this amazing drifter that he wants to learn under.
Right. Same thing. Exactly. Yeah. And
she's not just an amazing drifter. She's in the best company in Rocktown, the adventure group. She is an elite.
Yeah. Yep. I think that I have a little bit of a problem with just the drifter pilots, the combat in general. And I think that her inconsistency as a pilot is a symptom of that broader problem. I think that problem is exemplified the most when you look at range, whatever you want to call him.
Right.
At the end, at the end, there's a big battle sequence. He gets put in a very compromised position where lots of other characters we've seen die instantly. And the enemy, instead of doing the same thing to him, surrounds him and just starts kind of poking him and prodding him gently instead of attacking.
To be fair, we'll talk about him later, but he's not there to form a realistic situation. He is pure comedic function. He's not a character. Like he serves a purpose for a particular scene, and then he's gone. So I get the point you're saying, because very similar things happen to Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think they're happening to Ellie to fulfill a particular function that the writer was looking to fulfill.
And that's exactly my point, is that combat in this show is not about the seriousness or the stakes of the combat as much as it's about what is it that I need to say right now? Like what am I going to do with these characters right now? So their skill like goes up and down. What the enemy does goes up and down. How they respond, how other people respond to them in conflicts, and their capabilities go up and down way more than is usual in any kind of combat situation. And she really suffers for it. As far as her other interactions, like being the naive girl who has a crush, wants to be a woman, but at the same time is too scared to. I was okay with that. I didn't have a problem with that. Like her inconsistency and jumping between, who she wants to be and who she is. I'm okay with that. That didn't bother me. But the combat thing, I don't know. I'm more particular about that because that's a measurable power scaling stat. Like, come on.
Her scenes where she always seems to walk in at the wrong time tend to be funny, and I did like her robot companion and how she's always making it worse for her, always continuously teasing her.
Angie, stop!
Angie. Again, we need to talk about the robots, but that's coming up here in the next character. But otherwise, kind of was pointless in the series, especially when we're already dealing with a female character, and it's just like. It felt very much, hey, we need this trope. We need to add this trope, write this trope in, have this trope play out. Don't need to put any more thought into it. Again, that's what the anime seemed to put as their high bar, so it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. All right, so Noir, he goes to do some diagnostic testing on her, which requires removing her programmable clothes, of course.
I don't think he meant to do that. I think he was just poking around.
Okay. And then she wakes up and mentions she'll take him to paradise. That's an important plot point, but everyone interprets it wrong. And so we find out she has amnesia. So he has this robot girl who has amnesia.
All the bullet points of what makes a great trope from the 90s. Chobits, Outlaw Star. Like, how many like girls in briefcases and stuff do you have?
I'm sorry, I have to point this out. They have raincoats that they put on a tiny thing, they hit a button, and it deploys. Or she has clothes that she can hit a button and either deploys or comes back skin tight, but they can't grow food.
Yeah. And also, like, he ripped the raincoat. That bugged me so bad. I was like, if all you have to do is press a button to deploy it, don't you just press a button to make it go off? Why did you rip it? What is wrong with you? If you live in a society of severe scarcity, why are you ripping something?
You can live in a society. Guys, thoughts on Noir, and then after Noir, I do want to talk about the Magus in general.
Magus.
The first thing, like, as I thought about this question coming up, by like episode 9, I'm going, this character so much reminds me of the main character of Gesniver. She is so bland and such a blank slate that I don't know what to do with this character. Like,
Is there an anime that has lived rent-free longer than Kisniver? I don't remember. Yeah, I don't even know if this is accurate or not.
It's burned.
Yeah.
Burned. My hatred burns it into my brain.
Oh my gosh.
That's wild.
How long has it been? Anyways, I think some of her best scenes are definitely leaned into because of her blankness, if you will. Like she jumps into the water and just sinks.
Yeah.
Even though she should know how to swim like every other Megas. And I did like that she heard a bunch of terms that the girls were talking about in order to attract Kanata, and she turns it around into, oh, they're going to ambush him and attack him. I need to defend him.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. But like, man, she was just a tool to bring in awkward situations, and they could have done a lot more with her, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if it's just getting old for me, if I've seen too many anime where the either male or female character, but especially when it's the female character, is a blank slate.
One in Kisniver was male.
Was it? I can't even remember. I don't know if it's just been too many of those, and so I'm just kind of like a little bit bored with the character. It's not even that I get frustrated with them or anything. It's just I'm a little disappointed. I'm a little sad. Like there could have been an interesting character here instead of a dud, as she calls herself. But the anime does justify it really well later. Like the move that it makes in the storytelling is really cool, and it excuses everything that happened. I was okay with it at that point, and I was like, okay, show me what's going to happen between these two characters. I'll probably never watch another episode, but I'm super curious. Like I'll probably read it on a wiki or something. So for that, it's one of those things where like in the moment I was really bored and kind of disappointed, but there were moments that were pretty good. But when they flip that switch, when they do that big switcheroo on you, I like it. I like her now.
Last comparison. They totally could have done a relationship chart from this anime. I'm just saying.
I do remember that.
Troy hates me right now.
I just can't believe that was like our 8th episode. This is 183.
Trauma.
Right, it's trauma. PTSD.
Yep.
Half a decade. Let it go.
Never.
I really agree, especially with Jeremy. Very tropey, very nothing new to see here until that very last episode. But even then, it's hey, this is actually a new character, and then suddenly she's interesting. But it's not like it's a bad trope. I'm like, oh, not this trope again. But it's like, yeah, oh yeah, the mystery girl. She's gonna, yep. Oh, what's this? I don't understand this. I have a misunderstanding about that, and I want to do this, but it sounds like I want a boing boing.
You know who did it better? Not what you're thinking.
Boing boing.
Rosevere Vampire did this character 100 times better.
Is it Rosario?
Rosario Vampire had an amnesiac.
Really?
No, but the suppressed, powerful character, and then the repressed.
I think me and Jeremy are talking about that blank slate. Literally, they have no personality and are like, what is food? What is sleeping? I have to sleep next to you and press my boobs against you because I don't know things.
Yeah, I don't know what if this is going to do to you.
But I am still hot enough and old enough for you not to make that comparison.
Yes, exactly.
I do love Rosario Vampire, so I enjoy the call out.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the idea of, like, the repressed, nice version, and then they turn, and then they're highly aggressive.
The white hair version of Rosario Vampire. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, that's an app. All right, let's talk about the robots. What do you guys think about the whole robot society?
Are they robots? Like, what? And is Kanata half robot? No, he said Biomon. That's right. He doesn't know who that is. I appreciate the thought experiment, especially in today's day and age of AI, and like the moral questions behind how are we going to treat artificial beings that are near indistinguishable from people and may have morals of their own. That kind of goes out the window with their contract system, because as soon as they buy, as soon as they sign a contract, now they're just a tool that can't rebel against their master, no matter how bad they are. Especially when it comes to range. I guess it just turns them evil. But I do like the thought experiment they're playing with. I just don't think it was explored well here, because they ended up just going down the what if we could date them road.
Yeah, exactly.
And okay, this is another side topic to the robots. If you're going to have highly intelligent programs to help you with things like combat and targeting and abilities,
Right there with you. Right there with you.
why is it a walking, breathing, living entity? Yep. Why isn't it just built into the software of the machine you're running, especially with a coffin that's so big? If it's that big that it can hold a human-sized thing in the back, they've got plenty of room to just install that circuitry in it and have it better and react faster. Like, it's just a roundabout way to get hot robots in the story that are tied down by contracts.
What's that one where it takes two pilots and like one has to be a girl, one has to be a guy, and like they have to be in compromising positions while they're piloting?
I had that
Darling
thought
in the Franxx.
Darling in the Franxx. I remember I was like, Darling in the Franxx kind of did this a lot better.
Yeah.
As bad as that anime is not great. It had a lot of issues, but at least that concept was interesting. But that was my thought. You go on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I haven't seen it, but it just like the idea of having two pilots, because that's really all they're doing here, and that was the sole purpose, like you said, Jason. That's all it's for. Is why not just have two human pilots? But the only
not even that.
Just have a robot. Yeah,
because he proved he could pilot it by himself, right? It was just shaky. He didn't have as good a control over it. All of those like sensory things or readjustments can be done by any sufficiently strong enough program. It doesn't even have to be AI. Right. It just has to be able to make intelligent decisions with the sensors that it has on the machine.
I can't agree, because then I would have to turn my back on poor R2D2. It serves the same function.
Yeah, that's true. In Astromech, on the X-Wing.
Astromech does much more than just help with targeting. It does repair.
I guess it does repairs,
It also can like get, do translations and holographic images. They have a lot more functionality than these megas do.
I don't know if I could agree with that, because we saw in the very first fight how incapable he was when she wasn't there. Like his reflexes and everything were terrible. And the moment that she kicked in, it like time dilated for him and everything.
My argument isn't that he doesn't need the assistance. My argument is you don't need to build a humanoid robot to get that functionality within your mech.
Well, I think that's true of any mech, but at the same time, oh, sorry, no, I was thinking of like a humanoid shaped mech. But yes, but at the same time, I think the issue that I've seen a lot in fiction is that if you put AI inside of a machine and you don't have a human there to okay its decisions or to act as a kill switch for it, a lot of fiction writes that as like the beginning of the AI army that then goes and exterminates humanity. So even though the anime certainly didn't like justify it, it didn't use that logic. In the back of my head, that's the fiction that my brain references and says, oh, okay, I can understand why you would still keep a human in the cockpit, even though you've got such advanced artificial intelligence. Now, as to whether it could be AI or whether it could be a simpler type of robot, sure, maybe. But then you don't have the story of the anime.
No, that's not my argument that the Magus should be piloting it. I'm saying all the functionality that the Magus provides, besides the Magus skill, is something you could just program a simple.
Could just be a box in the back of.
Sure, but then you don't have the anime. Is the point? Like what I'm saying is they didn't. They didn't justify it well enough. Yeah, well, but yeah, sure. But they didn't justify it well enough, but they do still, like, they need some way to have these two characters. And so this is what they came up with. Now, I do think that the Magus, based on what they said in later episodes, is supposed to not just be about piloting the mech. And I don't understand why this is important. I don't understand why they decided to do this. To me, this just kind of came out of left field as like, oh, we're just going to work on, relationship development, because that's what the Magus wound up being turned into. Is as soon as they get the contract, you have three laws that you operate by, and your main objective with these 3 laws is to help yourself and the pilot grow, not in piloting, as a person. So, like, do they exist for the purpose of achieving a truer artificial intelligence that they don't have? And so they're trying to do that by growing this person and simultaneously growing with them to become better? Or are they there as like a psychological nanny to try and help the human to get over issues, or to become clearer headed, or like,
or just to help them grow? If you never.
Well, but then that's some of the models.
Troy, that was great.
Some of these models don't seem like they should be designed to be making anybody grow that way. But but it's just, it's, I don't know, it's very clumsy is the only word I can think of. To try and work such a complex idea and role for these artificial intelligent robots. And to try and present them as they're not sure if they're human, they're feeling things. My heart is ablaze. But at the same time, they're entirely programmed to behave a certain way toward their master. They don't really know, like, as they're writing the story, they don't really know what the AI are capable of, or what they're trying to do with them. Or if they do, it's just presented very clumsily.
I don't like to say this was done 100% better by 86. And what I mean by that is that if the Magus had a better tactical reason to exist, rather than just providing stabilization for movement and aiming, I think that would have been way more compelling.
But 86 didn't have any androids.
That's what I'm saying. If you're looking for a reason for the androids to exist, they could have been the white-haired people, but in a different capacity, having that battlefield tactical, because they were up against hundreds of enemies at a time. Having that battlefield mastery would have been a huge advantage for them.
I also have thoughts.
What are your thoughts on the robots, Troy?
I hate it. It's probably the thing I disliked about this anime the most, because it's so awkward when they're like slavery, but they love it.
Yeah. My master. Please.
Oh God. Someday I'm gonna find a master and he's just gonna make me the best slave ever. Oh.
Please oppress me. Please.
It's, especially, we watched Pluto recently, and I know we had our issues with that, but at least it asked the idea, when you're going from microwave to thinking human being, at what point do you start having to change how you treat them? This is like all the way. It's still a microwave. Yeah, yes. It's talking with you. It's joking with you about your crushes. It's literally no different from a person, except for we drew a triangle on their neck, which is weird that to make them your slave, you grab them by the neck with your thumb pressed on their throat.
You choke them.
That was really creepy.
There's a little...
and they even, like, like you said, the character's like, my heart's ablaze, and am I different from a human? I'm like, don't start asking those questions, because the whole thing is you've told me to pretend this isn't a thing. I have to close my eyes and pretend that these very people are not being slaves, which they totally are.
Yeah. Yep.
So, not a fan of the treatment of robots, or just the portrayal of robots. It was just so weird that they were robots and how human they were.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Michael's is the worst though, because he had like 5 identical black guys that are the slaves. No, Michael, no.
Can I just say I had mixed feelings on the scene of his Vegas giving the small girl a bundle of roses and them joking about having a relationship. That was a little uncomfortable.
He didn't do anything inappropriate, and Flam has been that way about everyone, about everything she has said. Has been like, I'm gonna start hugging and dating all of you. And then so when she's like, let's be friends, and he's like, yeah, friends. You know, he's not disappointed or like, oh, I wanted more, anything like that.
I wasn't creeped out, and it was a 2-second scene. I'm just saying it was a little awkward.
It was. It was very much in turn with her that she saw flowers, assumed somebody, this 10-year-old girl's, or acting, who knows how old she is. She's a robot, you know, but
Probably
acting
30.
like
she's a type 0, so she's got to be at least what, like?
Oh
18?
no, she has to be old because she was.
Yeah, she's got to be at least 20.
Yeah,
at least.
No, older than that.
Well, 20 would have been when the Amerasia fell. So
20 years ago, and she fought in that war.
Oh, that's right, she did.
Clarissa fought 20 years ago, and she said all I did in that fight was survive, and rather than try to win. And this time they won. And she's like,
so 25 to 30 probably, unless the program created them earlier.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what do you think the youngest pilot could be? 15, 16? Claudia's got to be at least upper 30s.
She's 35, if not 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which Flam would have to be the same.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we've decided the little small child is a grown woman.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I don't like that either.
Gotta get your loli in there.
Yeah, it's very anime.
All right. They take Noir to the mechanic Maria, get a diagnostic on her. And then we see Enders attack the nest. While Ellie gets...
I will have to say, I did like the drunk mechanic trope. That was done fairly well.
Yeah. How about the drunk, or not drunk, but like the old cranky dock worker grandma?
I did like her, but I didn't like her as much as the storm is coming.
Yeah, that guy was funny.
That guy was great.
Oh, he annoyed me so bad. He wanted the storm to come so bad, and then when it came, he's like, "Oh no, the storm is here!" And then the storm was over. He's like, "When is the storm coming?" I'm like, "Oh god."
I like the idea of a weatherman who still can't get anything right, though.
Yeah,
that was great.
So if you had to close your eyes and guess the ending of this episode, you could. Bad guy shows up. Ellie gets saved by Kanata, who then runs to his coffin and tries to help, but he sucks. And then his new robot girl jumps in, and he's not sucky anymore, and he wins the fight.
He even takes out an intermediate.
Yeah.
A boss. Was this a boss?
And they win the day. So, yeah, you were right in your guesses. This episode ends just like you think.
And then they take home their their crystals, and they make a bunch of money.
They go back to where they found Noir and find the coffin that she had used to operate, and find the name Pascal, whatever.
Pascal.
And they find an old camera that was hers that they hope will help bring back her memories.
Now this takes place in 2222, is that right?
I didn't catch a date.
No, that was the game. So this is even further in the future. So that means 20 years ago,
42.
They had handheld digital cameras.
Maybe it's like nanotech, but it's designed to look retro chic.
There you go. Kind of like the rotary phones, but they're not. They're
Yep.
just
Right.
regular phones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, although it had batteries, because she's like, oh, you just take the batteries out and charge.
Recharge the batteries.
This is AAA.
Then the character Range shows up at Rocktown. And he was a former member of the Adventure Guild, which is, again, the big elite guild. And he was the second in command. And the main guy, Michael, had kicked him out, even though he has no memory of this at all. He has no idea who this character is. And so Range and his Magus, Dulce, show up and start causing problems. And Jason called it earlier in our pre-show. This is Team Rocket. This is the Team Rocket of this anime. They literally blast off a couple times. It just keeps happening. Your guys' thoughts on Range and Dulce?
Exactly. James and Jesse. She is comically evil, but she's even got the laugh. And down to a T. They weren't particularly funny is the problem. And their moments pulled away from the brevity of the situation. Like it really detracted from the story they were trying to tell, at least the seriousness of some of it, right? I don't know. I didn't think they fit well into the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really turned me off. When they first showed up, I was like, oh no, he's gonna like steal her, and then he stole her, and I was like, God dang it. Why did it have to go in this direction? I just knew it was gonna. But there was a really weird thing, and that was that they showed a flashback of what Dulce looked like before she became contracted to him, and she looked like she had a physically smaller, younger body. She was dressed in like pigtails and stuff. She had her hair done in like pigtails and stuff, and she was dressed in, clothes that you would expect on a little girl. She's like a full-grown woman now. So did she age? Did the robot age, or was the flashback just misleading? That I was very confused by that. Do you guys remember that? It was really weird.
I'm having a hard time caring
because robots come off of a factory assembly line.
Because the anime clearly doesn't care.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
See, and that bugs me. Like, don't talk about AI if you don't care about AI. It's a complex topic. If you don't care about it, you're going to screw it up really bad. And robots in general. So, yeah, no, I really didn't like these characters. Every time they showed up, I was like, just move on. Get them off the screen. This is not the comedic element I need. Maybe
she came off the line in a body similar to Flame, but then she got a couple loot boxes, and she got... a legendary drop,
and it was not a gacha game.
Yes, cosmetic upgrades.
I don't think it's a gacha game.
You don't know.
It's not free to play.
PS5 got it. Gotcha.
Okay, never mind. We're not going to get into this conversation right now.
We did our Blizzard episode a long time ago.
Yeah, they don't fit anything that's going on. They're so extreme in their behavior and yet
they
everyone
survive the most deadly situations.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes very predictable too. Oh, we're gonna do this thing. I'm sure this will work out. Oh no, it's a monster. We have to run away. The only one I laughed at was that him waiting in the back of the battle and being like, we're going to steal all these AO crystals, and then ending up accidentally on the front line of the war and starting the big battle.
Yeah.
That was the only one I chuckled at. The rest. Yeah.
In fact, if he had gone with it, like, let's say he ended up getting knocked out of commission, but then, like, they mistake him for the hero that started the battle at the right time, and he kind of went with it, I think that would have been funnier. And like later they're celebrated.
I just
like confused.
I don't seem to understand why they're tolerated. He seems to like trying to murder Kanata a couple times, and then the rest of the characters like, hey, that guy, he's still around, I guess.
Well, and I love how casual they are too, because they're like, "Oh, Range is probably dead. Like he probably died in the wasteland." Like they don't even care either. And so to me, that implies that they're used to people dying. Not just that he's a bad guy and it's okay that he would die, but they're probably used to people dying out in the wasteland.
You want to know how else you can tell? Because they find out like 10 nests were destroyed, and they're like, "Oh,
No
Huh.
survivors." Yeah, and they don't care.
no one's like, oh my god, like a fifth of humanity just died." They're like, "Huh,
Weird.
we could be next. Like we should do defense or something."
These are terrible people.
I guess we'll send out investigation team just to see
Yeah.
how bad it was, so we know what we need to do. Not like let's go find survivors, let's go help
Not
people.
rescue. Yeah.
No, it was not.
They've
a rescue
already
team.
assumed it's no. How do they know it's no survivors if they haven't sent out investigation teams?
We lost our water park. No, the humanity. If only they had built like weapons instead of soft tubes flowing water and
Yes.
chlorine. Whatever. Like he steals Noir, but the reason is because she left to go see if she could find someone to repair her camera, and he was like, "Oh, I could totally do it if you get in my car." And he steals her.
I've got candy in my
I
van.
know, I was thinking that too.
Hey, and
Robot
Kanada's like,
candy.
"Oh, that guy told me I sucked, and I guess she's better off with him." And
Yeah.
Ellie's like, "Go save her," and Tokyo's like, "Yeah, go save her," and so they go to save her. Meanwhile,
Why do
though,
these robots eat? If everything's so scarce that they have to 3D print their food because they don't have it, why are they putting food
They've-
down the gullet of robots?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the robots do eat.
And they even talk about flavor.
they're not robots. They're slaves, human slaves with triangles on their neck.
I hate it.
That's all over the place, though. Just even the way they interact. There's nothing robot about them other than, hey, I put you in the back of the mecha and now I shoot better. They are literally just people walking around hanging out.
No, okay,
They
you
have
want
the
a
same
real
amount of rights. They
want a real explanation for why these things exist? Because you're going to collect a bunch of them in the game,
Who are
and they
not.
need a type 0, which is your 5-star, and then you've got like your 4 and 3 stars that you'll get, but you won't want to use those ones because they won't have mega skills like the 5 stars. I mean the type 0s.
Did you watch the trailer?
Yes, I watched the trailer.
You're clearly one character with one magazine.
No, you're one character with one mega while you're on mission. When you get back to the hub, you're then going to take those crystals you collected, and then you're going to use that to buy currency. But then you won't have enough, so you'll need to put in real money to get more currency, which will be too much for the loot boxes you're going to buy. So you'll have a little bit left over. So you need to buy some more with real money.
Yep.
I could be way off, but that's how I read it.
The brothel were the ladies. Yeah, were the ladies. They were robots, weren't they?
I thought they were, but I don't think we ever saw their throats.
The two that Kanata got taken by were not
Okay.
robots.
But those were the secretaries, right?
No. Didn't seem that way.
It seems insinuated by multiple people, especially by Ellie, that you can have intimate relationships with your robot because they're all like, "Oh, he did it with a robot." They think that,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh no, I didn't." So it seems it's possible, which is insane to build into your slave robots.
Yes. Yes.
But hey, anime, you do you.
What did you do to my poor robots, anime?
Made them better.
Pluto not looking so bad now, huh? Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Oh yeah, they recharge, like you said, they recharge the batteries on the camera. They have a big fight with Range, and
So this is where she meets Seal, right?
Yeah, we do need to talk about there's this random girl in this truck who also like, I'll take the candy, and helps her recharge. And then after they defeat Range, and he has to ride away on like a one-wheel motorcycle with Dulce, she's just like, okay, and like walks off down the road. She comes back into the story later. She ends up being the singer robot of the group. What do you guys think of Ciel?
Waste of time. Her character was okay, but she served near zero purpose. Okay, actually, this character really frustrates me. She's on this transport, right? And we come to find out that when she went on this transport, she had signed away her rights to Range. We find that out later. Her real mission is to spy on Kanata.
But she was that dumb.
Not
I'll
at that time. No, not at that time. She's just searching.
She's looking for the key at that time. At this particular moment. Yes. Actually, this is one. Okay. I'm going to save some of my thoughts for when we get to the episode because we'll talk about it in a more expanded way. I'm just saying that her storyline and how she fits into this story is one of the most frustrating things I think I've watched in a while because it doesn't make sense. Maybe it'll make sense to me, but in order to talk about it, we'll have to talk about that episode. Right now, she's just kind of a side character, but I don't know. All of the jokes that she makes, Noir already made them, except it's a little more overt. And again, more implication of, oh, it's darling or dear. It's like, okay, but more reason to watch Ellie get flustered. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. It was a reason to come up with a apron and almost nothing else is what it looks like.
Let me suck on your finger.
Shower scene. She gets the shower scene.
And there is a curtain on the shower. Other people have showered and they've animated them pulling the curtain shut. She leaves the curtain open. Like, there's just these things about her that are like weird, right? Like, am I human or am I just an android or am I special? And then at the same time, she's on an undercover mission. She's so stupid that she just signs without reading the contract, even though she's an android or a robot. So, boom. She should have been able to just absorb whatever was in that contract, like read that contract in an instant, and should have known, like, mission priority says don't risk anything. So I'm certainly not going to risk ownership. Also, it's very confusing. I guess I can kind of justify it, but it just, I don't like the idea that there's two ways to own them. like you can own them as property, or you can own them as the master that has like made a contract with them, because that's clearly two completely different things. And that was a really weird thing. It kind of took me a little while to figure out, like, why is, like, if that was even a possibility, why did she sign anything without reading it? It just seems like a really weird possibility to have. Yeah, just considering, like, if she is a robot, God, I don't like it. Like, the whole my heart is ablaze, therefore she was going to follow through with her mission, so maybe not. I don't know. I just don't like her.
I'll say that I do love the idea, the seductress, spy, assassin type character is a cool idea, and that kind of caught me off guard of being in this anime. But they gave it to a character whose personality doesn't fit that. She is a authentic, genuine, I'm actually in love. And then all of a sudden she's being super flirty and being like, you want to take a shower with me? And I'm like, you're like a sweet, kind, down to earth kind of girl. Why the sudden switch? It's like they wrote her wrong for her role. Her role was really cool. They almost gave it to the wrong character. Her best song. I like the music videos, guys. It was probably one of the best parts of this anime. It's stupid, but the whole anime is stupid. So at least give me a cool bot
Touch
to
my heart,
listen to.
I'll reach over and caress your heart in the shadow of.
The music was fine. I didn't
Really?
quite, and I don't know if the lyrics come across well into English when it's being sung. So
Right, you can't really focus on subtitles when you're listening to
Yeah.
Japanese music.
so I didn't read them.
I did.
I thought they were all right.
It was odd when they did it 3 times, but
Yeah.
again, I was mostly bored with the anime, so this was something new, something different. At least I'm watching. Oh, cool! Anime music video. I watch those all the time. Yeah, I'm down.
The only redeeming quality to me of the music video was that I kept thinking, oh, there was a singer in Robotech that was important in Macross.
Oh God, I love Amy. Yep. All right,
This anime, guys. This anime.
episode 3.
Oh my God, we're only on 3.
Ellie wants to go on a mission with Kanata, but Tokyo has dragged him to a brothel. I just want to say one thing. There should be a rule that if your characters have to refer to the act of mating as boing boing, you're not allowed to have a brothel in your anime.
No.
You're not mature enough to
Exactly.
handle it.
No.
That should just be a rule. Like, hey, you can be a serious, mature anime that can be frank about sex and then have a brothel in it. Blue-eyed samurai, great example. Or you can have characters who go boing boing and they all laugh and giggle when anyone makes boing boing jokes.
And they can have a water park, but
They
not
can have
both.
a water park. Yeah. All right. The biggest thing that happens here is while waiting for his turn. Okay, I gotta call on this.
This is so friggin'
There's a
weird.
waiting room at the brothel. There are 3 doors. He is number 21. At best, he's the 7th customer in line with that service woman. No, thank you. No.
No, thank you.
It's a long
and
line
You can,
to be back up.
and you can see the people coming in and out
Right.
the whole time.
Yes.
Are they
It's
showering
like they're at
in
the
between
DMV.
I imagine, but
And there's 3 different doors with 3 different symbols. I'm like, what do the symbols mean? What does that indicate? What door you go in? And it's so awkward. Like so we meet the character Black Mask, who we're about to talk about. But like, hey, how you doing? Good. I'm about to be 7th in line. You're right behind me.
about to boing boing.
It was the weirdest, and to the point where I'm like, okay, so it's not really a brothel. This is something else. He's gonna go in there and get
Yeah.
like training or something.
Yeah.
And I kept waiting for them to pull out the rug and be like, nah, just kidding. There's no brothels in this anime. We call it boing boing. That would be insane for us to have a
Yeah.
brothel. they never do it. They're just like, oh, monsters, I guess not 7th in line today. I'll come back tomorrow, or maybe I'll come back, get back in line for the next 7. Anyway, he meets the character Black Mask, who is a guy with white hair and black mask. He is a legendary adventurer, the guy who was always up in the on the tower. Can you guys hear me? I'm here to help.
Yes.
It was that guy. He was
That
that
was such
trope.
a great scene.
So your thoughts on Black Mask?
He was fine. He had his moments. He was the powerful character that came in to save the day when it needed to be. But he has like a semi-sinister plot in the background, but come to find out, it not really. I don't know. Yeah, I guess he was fine.
I really wanted to see him clash with the other super pilot character. I want to know which one of them is better. But he very much just struck me as the always present tropey character. It reminded me of Tuxedo Mask and stuff. He's always going to show up when you need him in the last moment, and he does a couple of times, even though Tokyo kind of fills that role a little bit for this. But I did enjoy that his level of stoicism was almost a parody. Like Like he would say, is this your first time here, isn't it? As if it's not his. And then as soon as Kanata would say yes, he's like, mine too. So he's like, he's stoic and he's experienced and everything, but he's not really. It's all a show. It's all a facade. Or he's just a big liar and he's saying whatever he needs to put you at ease. I don't think it's that. I think he's being honest about that. But I don't know. It's just he's got that funny sort of almost parody level version of this character.
One of the tropiest tropes that ever troped. He is 100% the mysterious stranger who shows up to help. And maybe, is he on our team? Is he not? The only thing that was interesting about him was that Tokyo recognized him at the end of the 12 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I like his coffin. His coffin was the best design of all the coffins.
Because it didn't look like a giant head.
Yeah, because it looked like a body with a little head on it instead. Yep. The monsters attack this nest and they fight them off. But he shows up and fights them off the most. We do see his Magus like hologram out and cast a magic spell of ice, and then we learn that Type 0 Maguses have magic powers. No explanation; they just do.
Yep, makes perfect sense in the
And
context
only the
of
Type
all the other
Zeros.
Android. Yep, of all the other consistent Android logic that they've provided.
So, the next one, Kanata is looking for work so he can continue to train, and he goes. He fights a bunch of centipedes that turn into wheels, but he has to be saved, and he's saved by a new drifter whose name is Claudia. And like we were saying, this is like a 40-year-old woman who's drawn like a 20-year-old woman.
Yeah,
and her little child, but 40-year-old something Magus as well. And her thing's like a motorcycle instead of a bipedal. I don't really care. What do you guys think about Claudia and Flam?
She has two very large defining traits.
Huge tracts of land.
Yes.
Her character was confusing. Wasn't quite sure why she was there, except, well, I'm not too confused, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think her role could have been done a lot better, I think. But she's at least 35 to 40, somewhere in there. And she is not drawn that way or even acts that way. And so, I don't know. I didn't quite like her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jason likes them young. That's the way you phrase it. Like she's like 40 years old.
She's too old.
Not for me.
You and Leonardo, man.
Okay, to be specific, I did not really like her character, and not because of her age.
Okay.
Nothing to do with it. I also kind of didn't like her. The only thing I really liked about her was that she is at least in the trailer for the game. So to me, that gives her a little bit more value as an interesting character that has a backstory that goes all the way back to that and already exists prior to the making of this anime, right? Because they've already written the story for the game, clearly. So that's pretty cool, even though I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's a good story. It might just be crap. But there's something about how carefree and yet always looking out for her own interests and willing to sacrifice anybody that she comes along in contact with, right? I never liked those characters. I like it if they start that way and then they go through an arc where they change, and they wouldn't do that. I don't really think she changed. I think that the only thing that changed was that she didn't have the expenses that she had before. And so she didn't need to do that. And so I generally find her as something of an unlikable character. And her android is just silly and, the obligate lowly. So I don't know. It just they didn't bring enough to the table as far as characters go. Certainly they were important for a few plot elements because, you know, she had a big gun that paved the way to the final boss, and she created a couple of scenarios that they had to work their way out of. But it was just a way to get another character design in to me. Maybe that's too simple, but I don't know.
They had ice, and then they're going to show lightning, so they needed fire.
Well, but they get another fire later with Ada because she goes ignite.
And technically, CL is also lightning.
That's true. Yeah, and so is Noir. Yeah.
I had a really funny thought. So you're absolutely right. She's very much that trope of I've lived a hard life, and I know it's all you got to look out for number one, no matter what. And but maybe you've shown me a better way, and I can learn to care about my fellow man again and not put myself first. But she doesn't. She just gets a sale. She gets cheap parts now. But she's forgiven enough to be invited to the water park because we didn't draw those two huge assets and not put her in a revealing bikini for nothing.
That's right.
So she has to have just enough of an arc that the main character can invite her for a bikini shot.
Yep.
That's as complex as this anime gets. That's what you're getting. You super tropey character, not bothering with an arc, but just enough to get her to the beach episode.
Just enough.
Mm-hmm. I did like the jokes at the beach episode, though.
Look, I love a good beach episode. I was just pulling my hair out that it happened in this post-apocalyptic anime.
Yep.
Okay. In this episode, she saves them and is like, hey, help me with a job. There's this giant AO crystal. And as soon as I pull it, though, the monsters are going to attack. And there's this field of flowers. And Flam doesn't want the flowers to get hurt. So you go fight the monsters, and I will pull out the crystal. Well, actually, she's like, I'll fight the monsters, and you pull the crystal. He's like, no, I want to do the fighting because I'm trying to train and get better. So he does. He fights them, and he does do better, but he still has to get help from Tokyo with the last two, which, I like that he's not just the best all of a sudden. He's having to go through this growth. Mm-hmm. She steals the AO crystal and just leaves.
Which no one saw coming. So out of left field. If I lived in left field.
In this episode, Noir has a small flashback, but we never find out what it means. And we do learn she's a Type 0, so she's one of the special magical robot girls.
Literally never. They even make a callback to the scene. We never find out.
It's like it's an old babushka in a flower field. That's all it is.
All right, then in the next episode, we see a group of drifters in black coffins attacking another drifter and stealing their magus. And these guys work for Black Mask, and they're looking for the special magus that will be the key to paradise, which we know Noir is because she said so. So they're basically looking for Noir, but kind of like, oh look, there's a giant AO crystal being sold, and hey, it's Claudius. So he could have totally been like, so my cut now? But no, it's fine. She had driven away, so technically he's out of luck.
It's hers now.
And she's like, look, I want to give you some advice. And he's like, I don't want your advice. She's like, no, you have to have my advice because I'm so smart. You guys need to be better partners, so you should go to this maze where if you complete the maze, you will become one. And then Nora's like, I want to become one, meaning be better. I want to be the best magus slave I can be for you. Nope. She goes through this whole thing of like,
the bestest.
Well, she gets misunderstanding about what marriage is. So she's like, we're married. And so she starts copying him.
Because that's what marriage is.
Jeremy, you got to call out your favorite scene here, though.
Oh, yeah. So they get this duplication thing going where she's just copying everything. And she's in sync with him really well. To the point where he even gets startled by something and accidentally tips over his water. And they're already standing and she's already set her water down. And then she like reaches down and like knocks her water over just to copy him. And I thought that was adorable.
Look, anytime someone acts like a cat, I think it's awesome.
There you go.
So she convinces him, let's go do the maze thing, which they go to. It's an ambush. Claudia was setting him up.
Surprise!
Tokyo and Ellie show up to save him, but Claudia also helps kind of save him, but they realize she set them up, so he goes and battles her since he had helped with repairs in the previous episode. And I did like that this carried over because I didn't think this anime was deep enough to carry anything over for an episode. He knew the weak spot on her mech and was able to shoot her gun off and defeat her. And then he's like, "Hey, I know a mechanic who can get you a good deal, so you don't have to keep betraying me. And then you can come to the water park later."
Yeah, exactly. The one thing that kind of bugged me about this resolution for this combat sequence was that she was using a particular like multiply no jutsu, right? And the issue was that they couldn't tell which one was her. And yet, while they couldn't tell which one was her, they figured out which one was her in a smoke screen and managed to shoot that little tiny pinpoint limb part as she's moving rapidly between. It's just like, come on, guys. You don't know which one it is, but now you're going to make a precise targeted shot on a moving target in a smoke screen among duplicates. You at least have to tell us that you figured out which one is her. At least tell us that.
Jeremy, the difference between you and I, and, like, there's so much wrong with this anime, and that's so very specific.
It's the minutia, man.
And I'm just like, hey, why not write like a good character? And you're like, but the aiming is so hard.
It's illogical. The sequence of events is completely illogical.
You're not wrong. Just
right.
At this point, I was like, get on with it. We get to the end credits. We get done.
Yeah.
Next episode, they go to Gambling Town.
Also known as Stripping Town.
Yeah, where you can literally put your clothes on the machine and get like 1 coin for them. Keep gambling. I thought, hey, we're going to get some cool coffin races because they showed twice, 3 times these cool coffin races going on. Nope. Tokyo loses all his money. Canada loses all his money to Black Mask. And this game must be a mini game in the video game. It has to be because they're playing match.
Yeah, and then they even call out like Old Maid. They're like, "Let's go play remove the grandma or something like that." I'm like, "Is that Old Maid?"
And then, Range shows up and he's like, "Hey," and CL is there, and he's like, "I own you, CL, and I'm gonna sell you to whoever wins this death match, battle royale."
The whole setup of this is just stupid. For one, he's walking up to this place because his coffin's been destroyed.
Well, and this is his hometown or his base now. He works for the family that owns this town.
Right. But like we don't see any of the resolution of him losing his carrier, losing Seal, losing his coffin. Like, we don't see any, like, we get like a 2-second explanation of it later, like, oh, I got chewed out. But like, and now all of a sudden he's done all this really bad stuff, but now he gets to control a game in the arena.
He also says, I have to buy my own replacement coffin, but he has it by the time the game starts for the battle royale.
Right?
Yeah. That one really confused me.
Anyway, battle royale. So Noir sells her camera so her and Kanata can enter the battle royale and help CL, who's their friend now, of course. And they battle through all these red shirts, randos, and win. But
they've only got 35% power left.
Yeah, Range had made a rule that anyone can enter the battle at any time. Which, as soon as I would have heard that, I'd been like, okay, well then I will sit on the sideline for a while.
Yeah. Wait until it's down to 1 person, and then I'll jump in.
That's a rule that anyone should have been like, that seems sus.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, him and his goons jump in at the end when they're like, oh, so we're going to win our own prize. But then Black Mask joins in because, hey, you can enter in whenever you want. Who cares? And they win. Sure. Oh, no, and Noir gets to her first Electric Attack, and she does change appearance, doesn't she? She gets the black
she gets
hair
the
here
black hair. Yeah.
for the first time.
And her eyes go white.
Yep.
She's basically Storm.
Yep.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, she is.
So they free CL and buy back the camera. Next episode. So, oh yeah, he sends Noir for maintenance because they don't know what happened with her in that last episode. So he sends her off for maintenance, and then Ellie's like, "Oh, I'll get to have a private day with this guy I like." And she gets there, and CL has moved in, and this is where we were talking about. She's all like being flirty and seductive, calling him darling, inviting him into the shower, doing all this stuff. We do learn not his biological mother, but the mother who raised him was a Magus, and that is why he treats Magus like people. Even though Magus act like people, and everyone else seems to treat them like people.
Yeah.
Treat them like slaves, you mean?
But slave people. They're still people.
Slave,
I haven't seen
slave
anyone like being mean to them or demeaning them. They
No.
all
I
seem
guess that's
buddy as much as he does. Like I don't see any different behavior from him and Tokyo.
Right.
The way
But
they
she
treat their
makes
Magus.
mention specifically, you are the oddball out that treats us like people because everyone else doesn't treat us like people. They treat us like tools. But that's seem to be the case.
Not the case. Yeah. Maybe the only person that I would think kind of treats them as tools would be the mechanic. Because she's got like a fleet of them. Of
That's
these girls
true,
that she's got dressed up. But everybody else, yeah. I mean, they're in the bar drinking with them. I don't see anybody glaring. I don't see any ostracism. Makes no sense.
This is also where we find out CL is a spy because she reports that she's looking for the key to paradise, and she's actually going to take Kanata out. And when she had reported, she suddenly gets distant, so he gets worried about her. So he takes her out to a amphitheater so she can sing, and she does for us.
For one person. Oh, I guess, yeah, the audience.
And then, guess what, guys? Monsters show up, and they have to battle. She has to be the computer in the robot.
I told you.
And she does, and they do a music battle.
Yeah. Oh God. I hated this so much. This is when I wrote, and I was like, this would piss me off so bad if I've been piloting with this other robot and she's quiet and she helps me and she's like, hey, tactical maneuver, go do this, go do that, whatever. And then I get this new robot, and the moment she gets in, she just starts la la singing in my ears while I'm fighting for life and death, trying to survive in this circumstance.
I mean, if you got her out of a loot box, you got to try her at least once.
Oh, at least once. I'm seriously wondering, like, when I saw that he had her now as a second one that was a robot, a Magus, I was thinking the same exact thing. We're like, okay, so you're going to have a selection of them that you can choose from. I wonder if this anime is going to be like a different game. Like, if the first game does well, Synduality Ada does well, then I wonder if they'll make like a Synduality Noir that's more of like maybe the tactical or some other kind of gacha game, like first person shooter gacha game or something. I could see it. There's definitely, it would make for some fun elements of like, what are your combinations? How are you going to build your mech? What robot are you going to use to give you your internal systems? It would work. They can make a lot of microtransaction money on it.
The next episode, they go to the water park. Everyone but CL. Nothing. This is an episode about Ellie and how much she likes Kanata, but nothing moves forward.
Nope.
But I do love that CL couldn't be there, and then suddenly the stage rides up, and Tokyo's like, introducing CL because he's hired a gig. He's basically become her like agent. And she sings another song after she.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? You got it. Flaunt it. And this was my favorite of the three songs.
This one was very like traditional Japanese or Korean pop idol Like even just like the dancing she was doing and the faces and yeah.
And then everyone pays her digital money, which you
Yes.
just, by the way, if you stick your finger out, you will start paying someone money in this world. Never
If you
point to
have the
anything.
ring on. They had to have the ring on.
Is that what it was? There was a ring? I didn't even notice.
Yeah,
the ring.
everyone that had money flowing from their hand, it was because they had a particular ring on.
Interesting.
And I assume that ring is like basically your credit card.
Yeah. But there was one funny moment, which was when Michael got like slapped or shot in the face or something, and he fell down and he like pointed at his own cheek and was shooting money into the into the swollen cheek. That was cute.
Which is also another thing that every character was at the water park that day.
Yeah.
Right?
Whatever. Yeah, the rest of it doesn't matter. It just doesn't.
Oh.
Oh yeah, then the next episode, while Canada and Noir are driving through the rain, they see a battle happen with a parasite, which is basically a monster is taking over one of the other coffins versus another
Parasitic
coffin.
ender.
Yeah, and so they go to Walmart Town, and yes. do a bunch of shopping, and they run into the main character from the video game, and you can tell that because he's drawn like a main character in the video game. And the main character's rude to him at first, like, I don't want to talk to you, because he's told that guy knows about robot memories. You should ask him. And he says, "Go away. You're not cool enough. You're not main character enough for me to talk to." And so he ends up talking to his Magus, Ada, and buys her dinner. And then she invites them back to their carrier to wait for this guy's name is Alba.
Which
Alba.
Buying dinner consisted of
robot.
them standing in front of drawers and then eating while they're standing in front of the drawers. Like, they didn't even sit down. No one served them. Okay.
It's like,
well, it's really harsh. It's all about survival, man. You just got to make do. They have to eat.
Straight from the water park.
When you're in an IKEA.
Right.
Gotta stand up and eat those meatballs.
Yes.
Besides loving soy sauce, Alba's like, okay, I'll help you. We'll do a scan of Noir.
Dude, the amount of soy sauce that she bought.
Yes, well, and it's great too because I didn't know he was the main character until I watched the trailer later that you sent to me.
Yes.
And the fact that like the main character in the trailer has a bunch of soy sauce, that I don't know, it made me laugh more at the idea that he has all this, like he's a soy sauce connoisseur.
Okay, I saw this guy like as soon as he was on screen, I was like, so this is gonna be from the video game, right? And then I googled it. I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy.
I didn't catch the.
Jeremy, I said we need to talk about this because you said this was really cool to you.
Yeah.
To me, this is like Ronald McDonald showing up in a McDonald's commercial. Like, of course he's gonna show up. Not special.
I don't think that's true. In the other ones that we've watched, was there a protagonist that showed up?
Oh, let's see.
We've watched other.
In the Baton musical one, wasn't the main girl like she becomes? Because that was like a prequel, right?
Yeah,
he died,
think so.
And the girl became like the main character of the game.
Yes, that's right. But that was like she literally became the main character. It was her story about becoming the player character that you're going to play.
Right.
So I kind of didn't see that as like a cameo so much as
the other one was definitely a gotcha game about military girls. Those are the two I remember we watched that had this video game element. So this one's different.
Yeah. There's just something interesting about it because they have no obligation. It's been 20 years since the events that take place in the game. I'm assuming. I don't know. Maybe the events in the game span.
I'm assuming that 20-year reference they keep making is talking about the video game, right?
Yeah, that's my assumption too. So in that case, they have no reason to bring him up or to show him or, but I mean, the idea that this character was you and you're not the main character in this and you don't become the main character in this. Your story's done. It's long gone. 20 years ago. You're just kind of a legacy that people are spreading rumors about. That's kind of cool. And also thinking of him as like, oh, he's the legendary pilot, right? And I was thinking, wow, okay, so we've got 2 legendary pilots. We got that guy in the white mecha, and then we've got this guy. You know, why do we need 2? And then when I saw that, oh, he's the main character, I was like, oh, that's what makes him unique. That's what gives him all this background and lore. Plus, he contributed something interesting, I thought, right? Like, it wasn't just a cheap cameo of like, hey, I'm here, and then move on. It was like he tried to contribute to the resolution of the main arc of this story. Didn't really succeed, but at the same time found some stuff that he withheld, right? Because they found like a black box in there and didn't want to tell him about that. So it gives him a little bit more of a sense of mystery, and it also introduced the idea that, you know, he knows who Pascal is and he knows the story of Noir. And that it makes me more curious about the events of that game and how it plays into this storytelling. So yeah, I kind of like it.
I like your reasoning. Not fully on board, but it is better than I initially thought.
Okay.
He fights a bunch of the parasite things, and then they say bye. He's like, good.
All these moves are just cracking me up because I'm like, okay, so that's one of your like what Z button or something. Like, it's your ultimate move.
I think the only other thing we learned from him, is that Noir's processing is getting bottlenecked, which is why she has to sleep so much. She's basically my computer I use for our podcast. Can't handle anything.
Hear the fan?
Every couple weeks, it's I lost it. I gotta re-render it.
Yeah. Yes.
Dude, that rendering is a crapshoot, I tell you.
That's the loot box.
Yep.
Okay, then we see some engineers making some new weapons for Canada at the other town, and a giant storm of monsters hits it. This is the Silver Storm. Then we see Tokyo is all upset because Canada's taking work without him, and all he wants to do is just drink all day and not work. Guy is just loving being an alcoholic. Like, it's his entire goal in life is, I just want to be a raging alcoholic.
And his megas won't let him.
Yep.
So everyone in Rocktown is called to, all the drifters in Rocktown are called to a meeting. Basically, hey, all these nests are being wiped out. We need to investigate, figure out what's going on, and get ready to defend ourselves. Canada asked
This
to go
frustrated
help.
me.
Okay.
Okay, so main character from video game fights one of these things, and then he immediately says, upon returning to his coffin, inform the nests around here that these parasite things are here. You have at least two people in Rocktown that have experienced these things. They also have heard, we come to find out later, that they've heard the report from this dude. They know that the last time the Silver Storm came, there was these parasites. But they don't put 2 and 2 together until they're knocking on their front door. Why is there mystery here? Oh, the coffins are missing and everyone's dead. What happened? Ooh, come on.
Dude, all the smart people died 20 years ago.
Actually,
Fair.
we do see like an evil mastermind that was how it's led, living underground. Maybe all the smart humans stayed underground and like,
still
oh, your IQ is like a 50. You go
fight them on the surface.
You go to the surface. You get to live. You get to go back to the surface.
You can be a drifter.
You get to drink from the fire hose.
We built you a water park up there.
It all makes sense now.
Right? It's so true.
Crack the mystery of the anime, guys.
That's why Range is up there.
Yep.
Anyway, Kaneda and Tokyo get in a fight about him going to investigate, but old lady says he has to go, so they go to the engineering town. It's been wiped out. They find the special weapons that were made for Kaneda, but then Kaneda gets attacked by these parasite creatures, gets overwhelmed, and Tokyo sacrifices himself and dies. But not really, because Claudia's there and she saves them, and it's like, he's in critical condition. I'll run him back. He'll be back in the story in the next episode. So
this was a real missed bro opportunity.
It wasn't here, but there is a scene where a character goes, "You are giving a death flag, and none of it actually happened." And I laughed. I laughed at that scene because this was a death flag. This whole episode about the, oh, I gotta protect him, and I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then he doesn't die. So Black Mask, he talks to that boss I just mentioned, and he's told, no, there's a guy looking for the town of Histoire.
Yeah, Histoire, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it.
They have to be killed. So Black Mask calls Ciel and tells her. So she goes to kill Kaneda because that's the town. That's his dream. His parents wanted to find it. He wants to find it. And she goes to kill him. And she's like, I don't want to kill him. I think I'm kind of in love with him. She's like, you need to quit and just come away with me. And he's like, no, I'm going to go fight. She's like, okay, well, I'm going to kill him. But then Black Mask calls and he's like, hey, this is all done through some flashbacks mixed to the episode. I'm just getting it out of the way. Black Mask calls and says, hey, don't kill him. I think I love him. No, I want to watch him.
Okay. This right here, we find out Ciel is not only a dangerous spy that is living with Kanata, but how she gets there is just the stupidest line of events. So she signs this contract to get on this carrier, to get to this town, to then be recaptured, and then hopefully Kanata will win the day so that she can then go home with him.
No. All of that was random happenstance. It was when Noir...
Oh, it just happened that she's...
It was when Noir used her power in the battle arena that she realized, oh, this could be a key. I need to keep an eye on it.
I'm just saying, the coincidence that the spy that's looking for the key just also happens to be the prize that he's trying to save and release.
Well, she's
is
going
a little
town
too
to
much
town
for me.
looking for the key. And
it's just too much for me. That she's also connected with this seedy organization looking for the key. I don't know. I didn't like it.
Okay.
Maybe Ciel's too old. I don't know.
Well, I wondered if she was a Type 0 too. Like, she has the zapping electric powers.
But
well,
I thought she is because she said on the... Yeah, she said on the carrier with Noir that, we can tell Type Zeros.
No, that was the other one. That was Black Mask's Magus that said that. Okay. I do think Ciel is one as well. But I don't think they ever confirmed it.
I mean, why would Kanata not keep a tier 5? I mean,
I know, right? Shouldn't he just recycle her to get the
5-star
micro points back?
That's right.
All right, the big battle begins. They draw them away with AO crystals. The storm. When the storm is like 2 giant towers, we're not going to talk about that part. 2 giant towers covered in this parasites and full of monsters, and they pull it off to the side. Kaneda joins the battle.
Michael's family's AO crystals. That was probably the best part.
Kaneda goes to the top, and then Tokyo wakes up from his coma and is pissed off that he's missing the fight. So he goes and gets in his coffin and rockets it up to...
did we talk about him getting injured?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Claudia drove him away.
We didn't talk about how he got magically healed by Flamme.
Well, okay, so just real quick though, because I don't remember. Maybe I was just so bored I missed that part of the conversation.
Great review of our podcast. Thank you.
Right. How did he take all 3 shots?
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I guess they
were-
went into different parts of the mech.
They were
not
positioned
all into
in
him.
a triangle around Kanata, and somehow Tokyo took all 3 shots.
Oh, that's what you mean. Well, he's very agile. He's got a
He's
10
so
in agility.
agile that he was able to do like a semicircle around him to get all 3.
I apologize for what I said earlier to you, Jeremy. Jason has found the stupidest detail to be upset about.
Thank you, Jason, for
There's-
joining me in the dark side
There's
of like.
no way
Fuchsia.
Kanata didn't take at least one of those shots. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Agreed. I also think it's stupid that everybody else who got hit with these shots, they get infected and they're just goners. But he's fine because Flamme, the little lowly Zero, is like, I got magic.
Fire. Yeah, fire magic. All right. So these two guys, they
I want to be
destroy.
done with this anime so bad.
They destroy the core, which then grows another core between the 2 towers.
Mm-hmm.
To make the Eye of Sauron, of course.
And then Noir is feeling so bad about herself that she literally changes into a new character.
And then starts calling her, like, talking crap about the previous version of her, like that dunce.
I gotta be honest, I love. So this character's name is Mystery, which okay, a little on the nose, but yeah, Noir turned into Mystery. And yeah, she's like she's a dunce. You're a hack, which is what everyone makes fun of kind of before, and like what he had to overcome. And now she's back like, you're just a hack, and she does a bunch of damage. And then she's looking at him. She's like, so you're just dodging? You're just gonna dodge all day? You're not gonna like shoot back? God, you're bad at this. Everyone is so bad at this now. When I was here, we were awesome, and regress to this, just dunking on humanity over and over.
Yes.
And I dug this. This was the coolest thing of the whole anime.
Me too.
And then she
just-
one-shots the core. She's like, fine, I'll do it. And like one-shots the core and they win.
Yeah.
I just saw this as old man shaking fist at clouds going, ugh, do I have to do everything myself? You youngins all suck. It was just like, okay.
But if
Okay,
she's right,
No, so I guess what I like so much about that, like we established, what Noir is a trope that's been done over so many times. I've never seen it of actually split personality, and the real version is the complete opposite of the original. Is a sass, and I guess you said the yeah, there was one, but still, I haven't seen it since that vampire did it. So I liked it. I didn't see it coming. Caught me off guard. It was a breath of fresh air in a series that was tropey and stale as heck.
I think
The fact
ahead.
that she came out and one-shot it was just boring. It felt rushed. It was just like, oh, we got to finish this up. We got to wrap this up.
But I wanted it to be over, so I was like, "Thank you."
Right.
I didn't need a
That's fair.
I didn't need a 10-minute longer battle.
That's why you like this character so much. She's like, let's just get this over with. Go back home.
Well, and then what they do with her next, which is like everyone's talking like you haven't heard about Noir, like Noir's still asleep. So and she even says like I'll never see you again, and she disappears into the back of the mech. And then they cut to Canada, and she's still there, and she's like that freaking dunce won't switch back with me, and she's stuck in the body, and she doesn't want to be. She wants to turn herself off and go back into safe mode, which is what Noir is for this body. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool
Yeah.
move.
Yep.
I'm so boring that I've bored myself out of existence to become
Right.
someone else. That's
I just had to
that's
become a
funny
new
that you say it
character.
that way. It's so true.
Yes.
And then we see Tokyo, see Black Mask. Everything kind of goes back to normal. Everyone's just doing their normal stuff. Range is team rocketing. Michael is being silly. and Tokyo sees Black Mask and recognizes him, and that's the end. Again, very much not a normal cliffhanger. This feels like we're about to go to the next episode. I actually was like, oh, is this a 13-episode anime? And Hulu has 12 episodes, and it's over, so I don't know what to tell you about the ending. I'm not going to really judge it on the ending myself, because I don't feel like cannot be the real ending. All right, let's go to final reviews. What are you guys' thoughts? Jeremy, you picked it. Jeremy picked it.
Jeremy.
Yes, I did. I absolutely love that twist at the end. I love the idea that the main character that we've seen all this time is literally just Windows safe mode. And that's why she's so horrible and boring, and why she's a dud, as she calls herself. But also the concept that like safe mode is sad. But it's safe mode. Like, that is really cool. I haven't seen that before. And that regular mode absolutely is disgusted by safe mode. So it's got a really cool concept there. I like that. I personally like the mech designs, but I hate that they dress them up like a head. I don't know what that does to it. It just really dislike that. Other than those two things, I was really hoping for more like humans living in caverns and stuff. I don't know why I got that impression. I reread what my anime list says for the description, and it doesn't say that they're still in the caverns. It says they came to the surface. So I guess I just read. I guess I just saw what I wanted to in the text, but I was a little disappointed in that. But this is a very bland, I mean, I don't want to go on too much. We've done enough here, but I'm sure the game will be fun. But the anime was boring. I got to give it a 2. Jason's like, I don't know about that.
This is if you multiplied mediocrity by 0. Like, every trope was on display except in the most predictable way. Every story element was done in a predictable way. Maybe not noir into mystery, but yeah, like Michael and Tokyo going to attack the core and it not working. It's like, oh, didn't see that coming. Every episode, I just wanted it to be over. It's not a hate watch, and I don't hate the anime. I was just kind of bored. And so I don't want to crap on it too much, but also the CGI was just, I've seen lesser anime do it better. So yeah, it's not a 1, but it's definitely not a 3. So I'm just going to sit right at 2 with Jeremy. I wouldn't recommend watching this.
Yeah, it's a 2 for me. The last anime we watched, I got emotional and upset about things I didn't like, but I kind of felt like it was...
You were wrong.
I felt like it was like, hey, I'm something great, and then did it wrong. Whereas this is like, hey, I'm just here because there's a game that's got to be advertised, yeah. And I'm doing my best. I just pulled all the tropes in, and so I saw what it was.
This is
pretty
what the
early.
kids these days like, Rick.
And I saw what it was pretty early on, and I lowered my expectations super low, and I just kind of went with it. So it's not good. I'm not gonna remember it in a week, and that's probably even meaner to say than bad writing, because I didn't care what the writing was. I don't care about anything. It's a 2.
You know, it's interesting. One of the first things it says in the credits is it says by Synduality Noir committee. And I was like, oh, so a committee wrote this.
Usually they just call themselves projects. They're like,
yeah,
whatever the anime is called, project, and it'll carry over to the video game, same project theme.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's our thoughts on Synduality Noir, No IR, whatever you want to call it. Our next anime, again, is a movie. We're watching Jujutsu Kaisen 0. We have also reviewed season 1 of Jujutsu Kaisen. I have seen most of season 2. Jason's pretty close to me. He's on the English dub current. Jeremy is going to go in with fresh eyes. So that'll be fun to do. If you have thoughts on Synduality Noir, please feel free to reach out to us on our Twitter X account at Baka Podcast, or reach out to us on our website, theanimebakaclub.com, and hit the contact us button, or leave a comment wherever you found the podcast. Those come back to us as well. Again, we would love to hear suggestions of animes that you guys would like to see for our retro picks. No real rules other than we only have about 12 or 13 episodes that we can watch. So please feel free to write those in, and then we'll try to come up with some kind of voting system to pick what we will end up watching. But we do want something you guys pick to kind of fold into this year-end, New Year format that we do. All right, I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Alice! Thanks for listening.
His brain is just dead weight.
Sayonara.